Hey guys, what is going on? This is Bird5, and today I have another player review for you guys. Now, there is only one day left in the Captain Store, so by tomorrow night, I guess by Friday, you guys need to pick a card. If you're around 5,500 subs and you still have not chosen yet, this is kind of why I want to do this review and get it out there. I've already done a pull list review. Now, in this review, I want to talk about Tom Seaver. I'm going to keep this short and concise. These aren't going to be long, in-depth reviews as some of the other players because I just didn't get an opportunity to get as many gameplays. Now, I will say that I pitched with Tom Seaver probably, I want to say like 7 or 8 games maybe. I don't think that is enough sample size to truly evaluate a pitcher online because you play such a diverse set of opponents, so it really varies. So we're going to talk about Tom Seaver's attributes, and then we're going to get into some practice and talk about his pitches and some strategies and whatnot, and then we'll wrap it up from there. Anyway, starting out, Tom Seaver. Really good attributes. Of course, he's a 99 overall. Now, I'm not sure how he gets to 99 overall. Maybe durability, stuff like that bumps it up. But don't even pay attention to the overall. It doesn't mean anything. All that does is set the price of the tickets that you guys have to pay to get him. Anyways, good stamina. One thing I really do want to focus on his attributes is his per nines. Specifically, his hits per nine and K per nine. Now, next year when I start doing player reviews, I'm going to start to probably more evaluate these players on a metric. I'll probably start applying a metric at the end of these reviews. I'll do something. That way you guys get a little bit more of an idea and you guys can compare the numeral metrics to one another. Numerical metrics, I should say. Anyways, hits per 9, 82, K per 9, 83. In my opinion, that's solid. That is not great. To somebody like Justin Verlander, the flashback, of course, Jose Fernandez, Kershaw. That is not elite. It's really solid, though. In my opinion, I'm looking for about a combination of 80 plus 80, 160. Usually at a bare minimum, I'm looking at around 160 unless they're like a knuckleballer. So he passes that test. I mean, good, not great. He's going to minimize the PCI pretty well, but it's not going to be like Kershaw or Verlander. Walks per 9 and control for the most part, I felt like was pretty good. Of course, you got your walks per 9 that affects all 4 of his pitches, and you have individual pitch control, which does affect a little bit. But if you guys watch my video, what does pitch control do, or what does it do compared to walks per 9? It doesn't have as big as impact as walks per 9. So compared to some other pitchers out there, I would say he has superior control. He's pretty easy to control. He's got a fluid motion. It doesn't have a short hitch. Someone is like Kershaw. Of course, home run per 9 don't do anything. Clutch, it kind of helps minimize the PCI just a little bit. Runners on. Overall, he's a solid card if you're just looking at attributes. He comes with 4 pitches, of course. He can get his fastball. I've seen it go up to 97. He's got a slider around, 86, 87. Good curveball. His changeup's probably his best out pitch. I've seen it go as low as, 78, 79. So sometimes there can be, almost a 20 mile an hour difference in his fastball and changeup. It's usually around 15 to 17 mile an hour difference, though. Next, we're going to go into some practice mode, and I'll show you what his pitches look like, and then I'll finally give you my final opinion on Tom Seaver. So stand by. Alright guys, so first thing I do want to show you what his pitches look like. Now his four seam pretty much just goes straight. Now if you throw it to this left side, there's a little bit more telling action running away from lefties and in on the hands of righties, but nothing really. His four seam comes with 64 breaks, so of course you're not going to see much breaking. It is a four seamer. Unfortunately, Seaver does not have a two seamer, which I feel like could help him a lot. Next, let's look at the slider. The slider comes with 89 break. It's a toss-up if the slider or the changeup is his best pitch. It really depends if you're facing a righty or a lefty. Obviously, righties, you want to use a slider a little bit more, and against lefties, you want to use that changeup. But this is what a slider looks like if you start it down the middle. That's how much break you're going to get. So a really solid slider. And then let's go to his curveball. His curveball is actually pretty good too. I don't use it too much. I'll use it occasionally against lefties or righties. Maybe to backdoor him a little bit or just, throw straight down. But this is what his curveball looks like. If you start it straight, that's how much movement it has. Of course, a lot of curveballs have decent break, but this comes with 78 break, and curveballs in general just sometimes look like they have a lot more break than what they actually have. But it is a solid curveball, and the base velo is going to be 78 miles an hour for that. Finally, let's get to, I think, his most effective pitch. Lefty or righty, you could argue that, again, that the slider is better because it has more break. But this changeup, although it only comes with 64 break, as we see here, you start it in the middle, bam, that's the break. I mean, it's not nothing great, but it gets the job done. The big thing about the changeup, of course, is the speed difference and his base speed. For the changeup, it's going to be 79 mile an hour, and you compare that to his base speed on his fastball, it's going to be 95 mile an hour. So that is a 16 mile an hour difference, which is really, really good. And of course, you want to throw that, away to lefties and whatnot. So just real quick, show you a few different ways to pitch, starting with lefties. Obviously, the fastball changeup combo is going to be your best, but you guys want to make sure you keep the same arm slot. That means if you throw fastballs high and away or high and in, you have to make sure you mix in changeups to the same spot. It looks like they're going in the same place. So if I start my fastball high and away, you want to make sure you throw some high changeups here and there. I'm not saying throw this all game. You guys watch my reviews. You guys know how I like to pitch. Nothing really crazy with Seaver, but I'm just giving you guys some more advanced pointers out there that you might not think of. But like the middle away changeup, the middle in changeup are really going to be effective pitches against batters with really quick bats. And it's going to show them the same elevation and arm slot, so they'll be really effective. Obviously, you want to keep the changeup down for the most part, but occasionally mix it up. One pitch I do not like to throw very often, but it is an option, is the backdoor curveball. I like to throw curveballs more straight down or down and in. Every now and then you'll get them to swing and miss, but you really want to use that pitch to set up his high fastball and his low fastball, which you want to use in conjunction with his changeup. Finally, his slider. Don't be afraid to use that against lefties as well. I don't like the backdoor too much. I'll do it maybe once a game, but I like to get it on the hands of lefties. Now again, if you're starting fastballs away here, the outside to lefties, high and away, middle away, you want to make sure you throw the same arm slot, keep the same elevation, look like it's going to the same place. So your slider would go down and in, or middle in, I should say. If you're throwing high fastballs, high and away fastballs, you want to throw sliders middle in like that. Looks like it's going to the same place. Sliders down and in, high and in even works. It really just depends, guys. You got to mix up your spots and look at where your opponent's swing is and try to exploit their weaknesses. So finally, against righties, by the way, just utilize the slider a little bit more. But I finally want to give my final impressions of Tom Seaver. I don't think he's a top 5 pitcher. I don't. I know in the first gameplay I showed you guys, if you haven't watched that, go back a week or so ago, or a few weeks ago, there's a Tom Seaver gameplay, my first game with him. But I do not think he's a top 5 pitcher. I think there's a few reasons why. Number one reason, he was so commonly used last year. We've seen him a lot, so it's really nothing new. Number two reason, his per-9s are not dominating like Lincecum or Verlander or Kershaw. I feel like with pitchers like Kershaw, you don't necessarily need the best stuff or the most velo because they can get away with having great stuff because of their per-9s. It's a lot more difficult to square up pitches with a smaller PCI, obviously. So that being said, Tom Seaver's per-9s aren't terrible. I would say they're good, solid, but they're not great. So that is one downside to this card. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think it makes him a top 5 pitcher, and that's one of the main reasons. Finally, it kind of sucks he doesn't have a two-seamer, a running fastball, or a sinker. I feel like eventually, if your opponents take away the fastball, and this is somewhat similar to the Verlander, except the Verlander can throw harder, so it's a little bit more difficult to take away that fastball. But if you can take away his fastball and just, pick out spots to where the changeup is coming, it can be pretty difficult to use the Seaver. So you have to get really creative when using him. You can't just throw fastballs and changeups low the entire game. Your opponents are eventually going to guess right, and they're eventually going to smoke some pitches and make you pay. So I feel like, I feel like he needs, a two-seamer, have a little bit more movement on his fastball. That being said, that's kind of nitpicky. I personally have gotten destroyed a few times pitching Seaver, and I was surprised. So finally, guys, I think he could be a top 10 pitcher. I don't think a top 5 pitcher. So you guys are asking yourself, should I get Tom Seaver? Let me go ahead and throw you guys a few different scenarios. First scenario. If you say you have the tickets right now and you're on the verge of getting him, Pujols, or Williams. Alright, so if you already have a stacked team and you have all the pitchers you want, I say get Pujols or Williams. Pujols, there's no other card like it. He's by far one of the best position players, if not a top 3 position player, if not the best. I don't know if you can consider a first baseman the best. And Ted Williams is just a valuable asset to have either off your bench, which you're going to get a chance to use him every game, or starting in your lineup regardless of his mediocre defense. So if you already have a pretty good rotation and you're comfortable with using the pitchers, I don't think Tom Seaver is going to make that big of a difference to your rotation. However, if you're more of a budget squad, you're more on, a restriction as far as your stubs go, or your pay, or whatever, you just can't afford to go out there and get the stubs, and you feel like you already have a good offense, you have Rizzo, you have, the flashback fielder, you have Anthony Rizzo from the Captain Store, and you hit well with him, and you specifically hit well because they're left-handed, I don't feel like there's a need to get Pujols, and I don't feel like there would be a need to get Ted Williams. You know, assuming you already have the corner outfielders, and you don't have, and if you know, same scenario. If you don't have great pitchers out there, you know, you don't have the flashback Verlander, flashback Tiant, Jose Fernandez. If you don't have all those cards and you really need a pitcher, obviously, guys, I'm going to tell you to go out and get Seaver. It really comes down to that. I'm just saying, if you already have a stacked lineup, and you pretty much have everything you want, I think Pujols is the better card, and you could argue that Ted Williams could be even more valuable. That being said, this is still a really good card, so if you need the pitching, go get him. As far as the other cards, unfortunately, I just don't think their value compares. There's a lot of good second basemen out there, although I think Joe Morgan is one of the better second basemen. I don't think he's necessarily worth getting over someone like Seaver because it's so easy to replace a second baseman compared to a starting pitcher. So finally, guys, if you have any more questions, I'll try to help you out. I've been helping a few people on Twitter, but I really just wanted to get this video out there. It's a different type of review. I more or less want to help you guys decide before we run out of time and get those new level 50 captain rewards. So again, thank you for watching the video, guys. Make sure to like and sub. This is card number 5 signing out. Peace.